Welcome to my YouTube page. The Emotional Mastery Podcast is what you may be used to if you've already been here. I want to add more value in human design little videos like this. So, I'm a holistic human design coach. What does that mean? My background is in holistic health. I am a health coach practitioner, and I found a passion and love and transformative energy in human design. To give a real quick recap of my journey, I found myself in a toxic relationship that I decided to leave. And fitness was really the first catalyst to that journey. Once I began to move my body, I began to feel more confident, and I realized my power. I realized there was more for me than feeling sick and miserable and sad and drunk and all of the things. So I left that situation, and the last 7 years have been a journey to finding myself. And through fitness and through health, I've gotten closer to myself, but it was really human design that was sort of the permission slip for self-awareness and self-love. Up until I learned human design, I was still struggling with this question of who am I? What am I supposed to do beyond health, right? Beyond caring for my body and being in this present moment, right? That we're all trying to be in. So I found human design, and again, it transformed my life. And so I've spent the last 6 years learning and teaching the system in combination with holistic health. I run a program called Holistic Human Design Academy, where there are modules to not only understanding, but integrating and embodying, because I think that's a huge piece in this human design journey. But we go through human design, astrology, gene keys, energetics, and subconscious reprogramming as a way to support yourself as you're going through this journey, because it's not always easy. Self-awareness isn't always easy. So today in this video, I'm really just going to go over what I call the big six. So we're combining human design and astrology. And our big six is our big three in human design. That's type, strategy, and authority. And then your big three in astrology, which is your sun, moon, and your rising sign. So in human design, if you've pulled up your chart, if not, the link will be below. Just go click it. Also, if you don't follow me on Instagram, you can follow me over there as well. In human design, again, grab your chart from below. Your type, strategy, and authority are ways that we align our energy best with the world around us, right? Our type is our aura. This is how our energy engages with life. So there are 4 types. There are generators, which are split between generators and manifesting generators. There are manifestors, projectors, and reflectors. So I'll quickly go over them. I have a Substack where you can read more about it, and I will probably do more videos specific to each type. But for this one, for the sake of time, I'll just briefly go over them. So if you are a generator type, that means that you have a defined sacral. And I'm going to put a picture here. That sacral is life force energy. It is life force, it is drive, it is sexuality. It's all housed within that space. So if you have that, you have an open and enveloping aura. An open and enveloping aura, which means you are opening yourself up to allow life to bring things to you. So we get into this strategy, you'll understand why. Manifesting generators have that open and enveloping aura, just like generators, pure generator types, and we'll see the differences in a few minutes. Manifestors have a closed and repelling aura, because manifestors are the only type that are actually designed to initiate. Now, every type has to wait for something. So we're not just like initiating everything. And we'll see with our strategy and authority why there's at least a moment's pause, right? And I think sometimes we think with waiting, it can be frustrating, but waiting is really an active thing, right? We're being active within our waiting. Projectors have a focused and penetrating aura. Projectors are here to learn the others. Projectors are guides. They hold so much wisdom, and it's because they're really getting to know you, right? Projectors naturally will draw in the generators, because generators are the doers. Generators are the builders. So when projectors can get to know the generators, what lights them up, what they're good at, where their skills are best utilized, then they're best able to guide them into doing things that light them up. Reflectors are the unicorn in human design. They're about 1% of the population. And reflectors have a sampling aura. Environment is so important for reflectors. They're here to mirror back the environment back to whoever's in that environment, to their community. to society. So reflectors are so, so important. So those are the auras, those are the types of energy that we hold within human design. Then we get to our strategy. So each type has a different strategy. Generator types hold the strategy of waiting to respond. Now, manifesting generators differ from that a little bit because they still have to wait to respond first and foremost. They are a generator. As Ra says, the man who downloads the system, a generator is a generator is a generator, right? So manifesting generators have to wait to respond. And once they pull it through their authority, then they can go ahead and initiate. They can just take off. It's like the rabbit and the hare, they're gone. Whereas generators have to wait to respond. They go through their authority, and it's a little bit more calculated of a process. It's a little bit more of a, I don't want to say structured, but it's a little bit more of a step-by-step process, right? They have to hit points of frustration, then push through, and hit points of frustration and push through. Now, for generator types, their not self is going to be frustration. So if you are a generator type and that word makes you feel something, you're likely, when you find yourself in that place of frustration, you know that you're misaligned in some way. Your signature is satisfaction. So if a generator has done something that lights up their sacral during the day and they get in bed and they're just like, satisfied, then that generator is aligned. Manifestor strategy is to inform before they initiate. So a manifestor has a motor connected to the throat and no defined sacral. I'll put an example here. So manifestors inform those around them before they go and initiate something. And what this does is it allows that closed and repelling aura to actually do what it's designed to do without the interferences from people around. Now, it's not to ask for permission. It's just to let people know, like, hey, knowing your power, knowing your massive impact around you, and being able to tell people, hey, this will impact you. This is the decision I've made. I'm going for it. Not asking for permission, right? Because a manifestor, not self, is anger. And a lot of times, manifestor children specifically are controlled. They're told what to do. They can end up being people pleasers to avoid the confrontation. And that not self theme is anger. And that signature theme is peace. So again, if a manifestor is aligned and they're feeling peace at the end of the night, that's when they know that they're aligned. When you're feeling anger, you sort of know there's a misalignment there. Now, the projector strategy is to wait for an invitation. Now, this invitation can be felt energetically in different ways, right? So projectors are attracting generators. Generators will then recognize them because the projector is paying attention. So the generator will recognize them and invite them into something. This is the sort of process, energetic process that happens. Now, projectors can have ways of getting an invitation, right? It can be an energetic invitation. It can be a verbal invitation. And sort of going back to those generators, like a generator, that wait to respond, the thing that we're responding from has to come from outside of us. It cannot be our intuition, cannot be a voice inside of our head, right? It's the world, the universe, giving us something to respond to. This can be simple. This can be a bird chirps outside and you respond in whistling it, right? You're working on something that lights you up and you see an ad and you're responding to that. There's always a response mode from something external when it comes to generators. And finally, our reflectors, projectors, going back to their not self. So projector not self is bitterness because the projector wants to be recognized. That's their signature. When they're recognized, they feel that recognition, right? Their not self is bitterness. So when they're not being recognized, they might feel bitter. The reflector strategy is to wait a lunar cycle. And this is because a reflector, I'll show a reflector chart, has completely undefined centers completely. So throughout the lunar cycle, they're run by the moon. Throughout the lunar cycle, they get to sample that aura, they get to sample and taste and experience all the different strategies, authorities. They get to move through the different gates and sort of gain their truth in that way. We're going to kind of go backwards because the reflector authority, inner authority, there really is no authority. So same thing, they have to wait that lunar cycle to be able to sample all the other authorities, right? To be able to sample the moon as it moves through all the different gates, to be able to sample their environment and the people in it in all different aspects of that lunar cycle. So then they can come to the end of it and make the decision that feels best for them. Environment is so important for a reflector. So if you're in the wrong place, you're with the wrong people. So your environment, really, really pay attention to what feels good in your body and what feels bad in your body, right? And be really attuned to that. It's really great to track the transits for all types, but specifically for reflectors, to track the transits to see when you feel certain things, when you feel best, when you feel lit up, like just to be able to track you during the transits. So we're moving to authorities, or sorry, inner authorities. So there are about 7 different types of authorities, and I have a post on it, a Substack as well. I will link that below, but I'll go through them really quickly, and I'll probably again do a deep dive into some of them, or I'll do a deep dive into them on a whole other post, a whole other video. So emotional authority, about 51% of people, about 50% of people have emotional authority. If you have a defined solar plexus, you have emotional authority. What does this mean? You have to wait through your emotional wave to come to a conclusion. There is no truth in the now. Play hard to get. These are all the things that come with having an emotional authority. It can be really frustrating because just that there is no truth in the now. We're viewing things from our emotional lens. So if we're in the high of a wave, just again, like the wave, it comes in and it goes out. It's kind of unpredictable, the ocean. Sometimes it's crashing, sometimes it's not. Sometimes you're in there ankle deep, and the next thing you know, you're being pulled in through your waist. So the emotional wave, it can be unpredictable, right? And it is a responsibility of those with emotional authority to regulate and be in right relationship with their emotions, because people who have their solar plexus undefined are learning how to manage and are taking in and amplifying the energy from the emotional authorities. So really wading through that. There are different types of waves. And again, I'll get into that in a whole separate video on emotional authority. But really the practice is wading through your wave, going through the ups and downs. Sometimes it can take 5 minutes. Sometimes it takes 3 days. Sometimes it takes a year. It really is a matter of cycling through and coming back to that neutral space and seeing what you're feeling then, right? Sacral authority. This is only going to be generators, right? That sacral literally is beautiful because it speaks through you. It's those like really in the moment responses. So when people say follow your gut, literally sacral generators are the only type that can actually follow their gut, right? Your truth speaks through you. So if you are a sacral authority, have close friends, family, loved ones ask you yes or no questions, open-ended questions are more challenging. Whereas if I'm like, hey, do you want to go for pizza or sushi tonight? Right? You'll get that hit that, I do not have a sacral authority, but my son does. And from friends that have sacral authority, what I've noticed is that when it's a yes, there's like a noise, but they move. Their body moves them towards the thing. Like if I say to my son, do you want to go to the park? And then he'll put his shoes on. His body moves him to move to that. But if he doesn't want to, and I say, do you want to go to the park? I'll be like, right? Like there's always a pause, and you can always get some sort of response through the body. Splenic authority. The spleen is the center for survival, health, immunity, and safety. So it's very much in response, in survival mode, right? The reason why I find splenic authority to be difficult to understand is because it doesn't make sense. And I think intuition in general, authorities in general, don't really make sense. We have to trust them. But specifically, splenic authority, you get one hit in the moment in response to some sort of fear, survival, health related issue, and it's gone. It's not going to repeat. It's not going to get louder, right? You need to listen to it or not. Ra, the man who downloaded the system, gives the example of like if you go to an event and there's somebody that you like and they start walking over to you, and your instinct and your splenic is like, like, no, we're not talking to them today. Like move the other way, because your spleen is always responding. I point to the side of my body, but your spleen is always responding to something that has to do with fear, health, and survival. So maybe that person actually had the flu and didn't know that they had it. And had you sat there and talked and everybody else they talked to that night actually got the flu, you didn't, right? You can always call them later or whatever, but like practicing and listening to that. Then we have ego authority. So this is ego projected, or ego manifested. Ego manifested is that heart center connected to the throat. Ego projected is the heart center connected to the G center. This is really just listening to your I want statements. The ego is all about willpower, self-worth. It's all like I, right? So really listening to what you want, speaking it out loud, understanding that. And again, it's not about getting validation from anyone else. It's just like listening to those things within yourself and trusting that. Then you have self-projected. So this is the G center connected to the throat. And again, speaking out loud is where you will find your truth. So whether you have a safe sounding board, whether you put an audio in your phone, whatever it is, speaking out loud, it's letting people know you're not looking for validation. You're not looking for an answer. You're just simply speaking it out loud. So maybe it's writing something that gets it from out of you will help you see your truth. And then we have environmental or mental authority, and it's not making decisions from your mind. Our mind is what we call outer authority. Our mind is only for other people. It's to help other people. It's not to help us, right? The mind, when we're speaking or we're manifesting things out, then it's allowing other people to have things to respond to, we're inviting people to things, right? Like it's the whole cycle of the process. But our mind is for others. It is not for our decision making. So that environmental or mental is really about your body, because that means that you have your throat and your ajna connected and everything below is undefined or open. So really paying attention to what feels good in your body, paying attention to your environment, where you are and how it feels is really how you'll be able to attune to that environmental and mental authority, which is pretty rare. And then of course we have the lunar authority like we talked about. So that's the basics of your type, strategy, and authority. So let me know in the comments what yours is, how you listen to it. If you listen to it, it's been a practice of listening to mine because of that exact thing. Like sometimes we know something to be right inside of our body, whether it's through our emotional, sacral, splenic, ego, like whatever it is, we know it to be right within our body. But this thing comes in, well, that can't be right. You can't do that. This doesn't make sense. What's going to happen? Why would you do that? Right? That this from you and from everybody else comes into play. So it's really practicing that trust within your own body, within your own system, will then allow you to make the best decisions aligned with your authority. Now we're shifting a little bit to astrology or big three in astrology. And I like to sort of like use these together. So your sun in astrology, think about the sun. It is the brightest thing in the sky. It is your core essence. It is your ego. It is who you are. It's who you're growing into being. It's not always who we resonate with as we're growing, right? It's who we're moving towards. So your sun sign is that core essence of you. It's sort of like your aura, right? Your aura is what surrounds you. It's how your energy interacts with the world. And that's the sun. The sun is the brightest thing in the sky. The sun is a huge part of your personality, whether you're embodied in it right now or you're still learning the lessons. That is what the sun's energy is. Then we have the moon. Moon, I kind of relate to your authority. It's sort of, even if you're not emotional, it is this body sense, right? You're taking care of yourself. It is your inner experience. It is the decisions that you're making from an internal place that has nothing to do with anybody else, right? This is how you nurture yourself, how you care for yourself, how you tend to yourself. It's a huge part of your experience. And then your rising sign is sort of like that strategy, right? It's the thing that everybody's going to see. The rising sign is your appearance. It is how you engage with the world, right? It's how people engage with you. It's like when I shake your hand, that's typically what I'm first going to meet when I meet you. So understanding what sign is in each, these core pieces are huge to your development or to your embodiment of your sign, your astrology and human design. And then a little deeper of a layer is that, your sun sign is part of your incarnation cross, and your incarnation cross is a huge part of your purpose. It's about 70% of your personality. So your incarnation cross is comprised of your sun, conscious sun earth, and your unconscious sun earth. I will get into that in a whole other video. If you want to deep dive into this, I do have a holistic human design report that you can purchase. And it's about 50 pages of outlining all of this, integrating it. There's journaling prompts, there's interactive section at the back where you're writing down, what is your sun sign? What house is it in? What sign is it in? What gate is it in? What does the gate mean? What center is it in? And then there's a little sentence that you can basically drag and drop and fill in the blanks, right? When I'm in my sun's energy, I shine through this area of life with this quality of your gate in this place of my body, your center, right? So manifestation, communication of your throat, whatever it is. So you can purchase that down below. I have a program again called the Holistic Human Design Academy that helps you integrate and embody all of this. And it supports you in not just a beautiful community, but it supports you in the process of really embodying and integrating this, in moving through those shadows and really beginning that deconditioning process with support. So I thank you so much for watching this. Again, if you have any questions, drop them below. Every way that you can connect with me is down below. Click that subscribe button so that you get more of all this human design and astrology wisdom and updates on the podcast, which always typically center around spirituality, health, wellness, astrology, human design, one of those core pieces. So I thank you so much.